What's going on, guys? It's your boy John and Liquid Editor coming back with another video, and it looked like Adam Silver is forced to speak out against Cathy Engelbert and the current
Cathy Engelbert might have just slammed the panic button. And guess who forced her hand? Caitlin Clark. After weeks of pure chaos, Adam Silver himself has officially stepped in. Yeah, the NBA Commissioner is now cleaning up the WNBA's biggest crisis yet. What started as a leadership issue has exploded into a full-blown survival problem for the entire league. Reports say Silver's patience is running out. He's already juggling LeBron's never-ending farewell tour, NBA expansion talks, and a fight to keep TV ratings alive. Now he's got to deal with Engelbert's mess too. The WNBA is burning, and not in the we're on fire kind of way. Fans are furious, players are divided, and the league's credibility is hanging by a thread. So the real question is, does Adam Silver step in and make the toughest call of all, firing Cathy Engelbert?
He stepped out and started talking about the crazy nonsense of a civil war that's going on between Iron Man or Iron Woman, Cathy Engelbert, and Captain America, Nafisa Collier.
And get this, the whole mess really began when Nafisa Collier publicly called out Cathy Engelbert, accusing the commissioner of lying about comments she made regarding Caitlin Clark. That single spark ignited into a full-blown wildfire almost instantly. Suddenly, players started canceling meetings. Headlines everywhere screamed Cathy versus the players, and fans were flooding social media demanding her resignation. Through all the chaos, the one person the league cannot afford to lose, Caitlin Clark, has remained completely silent, just watching everything implode around her. What really sent this spiraling out of control was Engelbert's disastrous press conference. She tried to deny ever saying Clark should be grateful for her fame, but the damage was already done. That's when Adam Silver, yes, the Adam Silver, got dragged right into the storm. Because when your biggest star and your league's commissioner are on opposite sides of a public controversy, it stops being a WNBA problem. It becomes the NBA's problem, too. By Monday morning, Silver was on record talking about growing pains in the WNBA, which is basically corporate speak for we're in chaos, but we can't say it out loud. He mentioned the league's surge in popularity clashing with rising player frustration. Translation? The WNBA is finally getting attention for the right reasons on the court, but all that good press is being buried under off-court drama. And at the center of it all, once again, is Caitlin Clark. Silver did his usual diplomatic balancing act, praising Engelbert for historic growth and player engagement. But anyone who's followed him long enough knows that tone, the one he uses to keep investors calm. Because right after that, he dropped the real truth bomb. There are issues we need to address with our players. They're not just economic, they're relationship issues. That phrase, relationship issues, says everything. It's corporate code for nobody trusts the commissioner anymore. And fans understood it immediately. Within hours, #FireCathy was trending across social media. Meanwhile, the WNBA's official channels acted like nothing was wrong, posting finals highlights, merch links, and corny motivational quotes about growth and unity. But players weren't buying it. Many started posting cryptic messages like, respect has to be earned, and some people show you who they really are. Here's the tragic irony. The WNBA had one simple job this season, keep the momentum going. Attendance was breaking records, Caitlin Clark was drawing millions of new fans, and TV networks were actually fighting for broadcast rights. But instead of capitalizing on that moment, the league managed to throw it all away. Lost in off-court politics, bad officiating, and a commissioner who just refuses to take accountability.
In my opinion, Cathy Engelbert's not going to survive this as the commissioner. I don't believe the Nafisa Collier pipe bomb that she dropped the other day, where she channeled the spirit of Caitlin Clark, unbeknownst to Clark, but knownst to Collier. Nonetheless, when Caitlin Clark calls for new leadership...
Listen, when the NBA commissioner himself has to step in and publicly comment on your league's drama, that's not a sign of growth. That's a siren blaring that something's gone seriously wrong. Adam Silver's calm, disappointed tone said it all. He didn't sound furious. He sounded like a parent tired of cleaning up the same mess again and again. He even tried to reassure everyone by saying, "We'll get a deal done." But we all know what that really means. He doesn't trust Cathy Engelbert to get it done herself. And honestly, who would? This is the same commissioner who watched a public feud between herself and Nafeesa Collier explode right before the WNBA Finals. Instead of the spotlight staying on great basketball, every headline shifted to locker room politics, leaks, and fractured trust. The truth is, Cathy Engelbert is now fighting for her job. Her own players no longer believe a word she says. Her biggest star, Caitlin Clark, has stopped reposting league content. And the man above her, Adam Silver, is already speaking like someone preparing the ground for a replacement. Behind the scenes, things are even messier. Multiple reports say that WNBA players, including several from the Indiana Fever, have quietly discussed demanding Engelbert's resignation as part of the next collective bargaining agreement. You heard that right. Players are literally saying, "We won't sign a new deal until she's gone." That's unheard of. The last time a players' union tried to oust a sitting commissioner mid-season was decades ago, and it ended in a full leadership overhaul. If these CBA negotiations collapse, the 2026 season could disappear, not because of money, but because the relationship between the athletes and their commissioner is dead. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark sits quietly in the background, like a live grenade nobody wants to touch. Her silence says more than any press conference ever could. When someone that famous suddenly stops showing up for league promotions, it means they're done pretending. The WNBA's fatal mistake this year was forgetting who built its new audience. You cannot treat the person who single-handedly saved your ticket sales like a pawn in a power game. For months, the league used Clark's name to chase attention. First to boost ratings, then as a political symbol in player versus management debates. All she ever did was show up and hoop. But apparently, that's not enough anymore. Fans are noticing. Social media is filled with posts saying, the WNBA doesn't deserve Caitlin Clark. And honestly, it's hard to argue. While the league keeps preaching about growth, the same old problems keep returning. Favoritism, politics, and tone-deaf PR. Engelbert thought she could simply deny Collier's accusations and move on. But when you imply that a respected veteran is lying, you don't move on. You lose the locker room. So now Adam Silver is the one mopping up the wreckage. He's saying all the right diplomatic phrases. It's a misunderstanding. We'll fix it. We're working together. But make no mistake, this is pure damage control. He's not defending Cathy because he believes in her. He's defending her because firing a commissioner mid-season would scream instability. The problem? That meltdown is already happening. Players have lost faith. Fans are tired. And Caitlin Clark, the only person keeping the league relevant, clearly wants no part of the chaos. Timing couldn't be worse. CBA talks are happening right now. If no deal is reached by Halloween, the WNBA could officially head into a lockout. Imagine a year with no Caitlin Clark, Aya Wilson, or Angel Reese. That's not growth, that's self-destruction. Silver tried to sound optimistic during his NBC interview, but his careful phrasing gave him away. He called the situation unfortunate timing. That's an understatement. The finals are supposed to be the league's crown jewel, but they've been completely overshadowed by internal scandals and fan outrage. Nobody is talking about the games. Everyone is talking about whether Cathy Engelbert will survive the month. And once again, Caitlin Clark holds the silent power. Every time she speaks or doesn't, the entire league reacts. Her quiet distance right now is shaking the WNBA harder than any headline ever could. Engelbert's biggest nightmare isn't being criticized. It's being ignored by Caitlin Clark. Because if Clark and her millions of fans turn away, the league loses everything it built this year. That's why you're seeing all the forced positivity on social media. The thank you fans posts, the we're united graphics, the we love our players slogans. That's not unity. That's panic. Sources inside the league office say Silver's team has already begun internal evaluations. He's requested updates on player sentiment and sponsor confidence, which in corporate speak means we're planning a transition. And that's the smartest move he can make. No matter how many press releases the WNBA publishes, no one is buying the act anymore. Players are angry, fans are restless, and the commissioner's credibility is gone. Behind closed doors, Silver isn't merely observing. He's fully involved now, and that should terrify Engelbert. You know it's serious when the NBA commissioner, a man juggling billion-dollar TV deals and global expansion projects, takes time to personally manage a WNBA meltdown. Reports say Silver's office is flooded with calls from sponsors, team owners, and player representatives, all saying the same thing. We don't trust Cathy anymore. That's devastating. Even more brutal is the fact that Silver isn't denying it. In his latest remarks, he said, there are relationship issues in the WNBA that need immediate attention. Translation: we're cleaning house, and Cathy's name is first on the list. The league tried to frame those words as support, but everyone who understands sports politics knows the code. When a higher-up publicly says they have full confidence in a leader, that leader is usually gone within weeks. That's exactly the vibe here. Engelbert has been scrambling, calling emergency meetings, sending internal memos, and planning a player leadership summit to rebuild trust. But it's far too late. You can't rebuild trust with people who won't even return your calls. Even team executives are fed up. Some owners believe Engelbert obsesses over public image instead of fixing real issues like travel standards, player salaries, and transparency. They're not wrong. The moment she chose to deny Collier's comments in front of cameras instead of addressing them privately, her credibility vanished. Now a fast-spreading rumor says Adam Silver may appoint an interim commissioner if this crisis doesn't cool down by year's end. That would be a seismic move, something the NBA hasn't done since the early expansion years. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise anyone. The WNBA went from its most promising season in history to a complete PR disaster in a matter of weeks. Ticket prices are slipping, finals viewership fell, and the headlines aren't about competition, they're about dysfunction. And right in the eye of the storm sits Caitlin Clark. She doesn't need to say a word. Her silence has become its own storyline. Every gesture, every absence, every unfollow ripples across the sports world. Fans joke that Caitlin doesn't need a press conference. She just needs to unfollow someone and the league panics. They're not wrong. When she finally breaks her silence, and it will decide everything. If she publicly signals that she's lost faith in leadership, no sponsor or broadcaster will side with the commissioner. Adam Silver knows this better than anyone. He understands that the WNBA's success right now isn't built on slogans or marketing campaigns. It's built on Caitlin Clark's cultural gravity. Lose her, and the league collapses. That's why Silver is moving quietly but decisively. He's contacting team owners, reviewing communication logs, and asking for detailed reports on how this leadership failure spiraled. That's not supervision, that's investigation mode. Meanwhile, Engelbert is still trying to project confidence. She keeps giving interviews about the future of women's basketball. But everyone can see what's really happening. She's fighting to survive the week. At this point, it's no longer if she gets replaced, it's when. The players have made it clear they're done being ignored. They're using their collective leverage before the CBA deadline, and Silver is tracking every move. If he senses that Engelbert's presence jeopardizes negotiations, she's out. Because the one thing Adam Silver will never allow is a total WNBA shutdown during its biggest media boom in decades. He will not let a management scandal erase the momentum that Caitlin Clark created. That's why the phrase Cathy Engelbert panic isn't clickbait anymore. It's reality. Every day without a solution makes her position weaker. And if a lockout hits, every finger will point at her. Right now, it feels like Engelbert is one more failed press release away from being replaced. So where does Caitlin Clark fit into all of this? Her so-called villain era might be about to begin. She's been patient and professional for months, but there's only so long you can let others weaponize your name. Fans want her to seize control, to stop letting the league define her and start defining the league herself. If she ever publicly backs Adam Silver's intervention, that's checkmate. Because the moment Caitlin Clark says we need change, every fan, player, and sponsor will echo it instantly. And Silver will have all the justification he needs to reset WNBA leadership. Engelbert is panicking for good reason. She built her reputation on control, but she's lost control of everything: her players, her league, and her own narrative. Adam Silver is preparing to take the reins, not to micromanage, but to save the WNBA from imploding right after it finally hit mainstream relevance. The league wanted headlines about finals glory. Instead, it's drowning in chaos, silence, and one woman's downfall. Caitlin Clark never asked for this power. The league handed it to her. And now, without saying a single word, she's using it. Because in the end, silence speaks louder than any statement. And in this league, Caitlin Clark's silence is the sound of change coming.